Hey, this is the first day of the covalent compounds homework. It's a lot of naming and formula writing and knowing the difference between ionic and covalent compounds. So in this first little box here, we're going to look at each of these compounds and determine if they're metal or the non-metal. What's this compound made of? And that'll tell us whether or not it's ionic or covalent. It's important to know those things. So carbon dioxide, you find carbon on the periodic table. Carbon's a non-metal. Dioxide is just oxygen, okay? So both of these are nonmetals. So we'll label them N and N. So they're both nonmetals. Two nonmetals bonded together makes a covalent compound. Next one, magnesium oxide. Well, magnesium is a metal. It's in group 2 on your periodic table. And oxide is just oxygen with the ending change. So that's a metal and that's a nonmetal. So metal and nonmetal, ionic compound. In this next box, you're going to name these compounds. They're all ionic compounds. Some of them are already started for you, so I wanted to do some that weren't. So remember how to name ionic compounds. You just write the name for the first element, and you change the name of the second element to IDE, unless it's polyatomic. This is just a binary compound, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to name that first. Give the name for that first symbol, which is aluminum. And then instead of aluminum bromine, this is aluminum bromide. Change the ending to IDE for those binary compounds. Next one, we'll write the name for that first element. That's lithium. And we'll change the ending of chlorine to chloride. So this is lithium chloride. There. Okay, do some down here. You're going to tell me, or I'm going to determine for you, if these are ionic, covalent, or are they polyatomic ions. And some of them are. And go ahead and name them after that. So this first one, Ag is silver, O is oxygen. So silver and oxygen, silver is a metal. So if there's a metal, that thing has to be ionic. So I'm going to use ionic naming rules. Well, silver is a transition metal, and normally it would get a Roman numeral, but remember, silver is an exception. So silver always has an oxidation number +1, so this thing is not going to get a Roman numeral in its name, thank goodness, right? So this thing is just going to be silver, and then you're going to change the ending of oxygen to IDE, silver oxide. Okay, phosphorus, that's a nonmetal. Oxygen's a nonmetal. Two nonmetals bonded together is a covalent compound. So we get to name it using the cool naming rules, where we just have to use the prefixes to indicate the number of atoms. So there's 2 phosphorus, so that's going to be diphosphorus. And there's 4 oxygens, so it's tetraoxide. Oh, there we go. All right, so that's the naming and formula writing on that first page. Let's see what's second page. Second page, naming compounds. I've highlighted some here. We're going to determine if they're ionic or covalent, then we're going to write the name. Nitrogen and sulfur, both nonmetals. Okay, so 2 nonmetals bonded together, covalent. Covalent naming rules, we get to use the prefixes. So this would be dinitrogen. And there's 1 sulfur, so that's going to be monosulfide. Number 8, there's 1 nitrogen. Now, we need to determine ionic or covalent. Well, nitrogen is a nonmetal, and so is hydrogen, so that's going to be a covalent compound, so we get to use the prefixes. The only deal is here, there's only 1 nitrogen. Well, you don't use the prefix mono if there's 1 of the first element. Okay, that's the only time you don't get to use mono. So this one's just going to be nitrogen. And then what's the prefix for 3? Trihydride. It's AKA ammonia. There we go. All right. Hydrogen, definitely nonmetal. Bromine, also definitely nonmetal. So this is another covalent compound. But what kind of covalent? This is a special one. This is an acid. Starts with a hydrogen. This is a binary acid. Okay, so it gets special rules. It gets the prefix hydro, and then you change the ending of bromine to IC, bromic. So this compound would be hydrobromic acid. I intentionally did an acid there for you. Help you with the naming. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing down here, but now we're going to write formulas. So potassium is a metal. It's in group 1. So if there's a metal in the compound, it's an ionic compound. So potassium symbol is K, has a +1 oxidation number. Iodine has a -1 oxidation number. Okay, so crisscross 1 and 1, and remember you don't have to write the ones, they're understood. So this thing is just going to be Ki. Number 3, phosphorus pentafluoride. Well, phosphorus is a nonmetal. Fluorine is a nonmetal. So this is a covalent compound. Plus it has penta in it, so you know it gets the special naming rules with covalent compounds. So if there's no prefix on phosphorus on that first element, what is it? It's 1. So P for phosphorus. Penta is 5, so PF5. Okay, I picked another acid to help you guys do. Okay, there's no hydro on this acid, which means it's not binary, which means there is a hidden polyatomic in this thing. Okay, there's a polyatomic somewhere. Remember that a snake bite, ITE, snake bite, is venomous. So write it down here. Snake bite is venomous. Okay, so how does that help me? How does that help me? Well, anything that ends in ITE, you change the ending to OUS. So if this is phosphorus acid, it came from a polyatomic that ended in ITE. What sounds like it might be right? It's phosphite. Okay, it's phosphite. So start every acid with a hydrogen. Okay, phosphite, PO3. Oxidation numbers. Hydrogens +1, phosphite -3. Crisscross applesauce, and you get H3, PO3. Okay, but what about ITE? What about ATEs? Okay, I don't know if we taught you this. So a snake bite is venomous. That's how you remember ITEs turn into OUS. I ate something icky. That's how we remember ATE polyatomics. The ending turns into IC. Okay, so if it was sulfuric acid, and I needed to figure out what the polyatomic ion was for that, I know it's either SO3 or SO4. Well, SO4 is sulfate. Sulfate. It ends in IC, so it came from an ATE polyatomic. So it must be, you get the hydrogen, SO4, which is sulfate. Then check oxidation numbers, crisscross, H2SO4 would be that acid. Okay, so you can remember ITEs turn into OUS by remembering a snake bite is venomous. I ate something icky. ATEs turn into IC. Okay, lots of stuff today. Good luck.